It's Wellness Wednesdays. It's Wellness Wednesdays. And this one, why is there a tape measure in my shot? Anyway, too late. We are talking about making changes today, specifically how to do it. I've been thinking about this a lot lately because right now I'm in a period of like personal transition. One, I'm tired of getting sick and I'm sick of being tired. But also with, the move to making video games and starting up the Leanna Cares service, Zoom call service and things like that. Other stuff's got to shift around in order to free up time to do that stuff. Other stuff has to get scaled back or dropped. That's the reality of life. Limited amount of energy, limited amount of time. This is what we all have to deal with. I'm still finishing up the boss fight blooper reel that should be done for next week. I didn't expect this to hang on as long as it did, but I got sick. If you want to help me with this transitional period, help support this channel, become a monthly patron, patreon.com/LeannaK. Now, change is scary. I don't care what anybody says. Even if you're utterly miserable in your status quo, it's familiar. And so what I'm going to talk about in this video is how to make change less scary. Now, especially if you have any anxiety conditions, PTSD, maintaining a sense of control, feeling like you have firm ground underneath your metaphorical feet is extremely important for you to continue to function effectively. And you'll read a lot of stuff that, the New Year's resolution, hardcore gym thing where, you have to feel pain and all that stuff. There is a certain personality type that responds to that. They get these adrenaline rushes from either novel experiences or in some cases, like some people do get an adrenaline boost from pain. They get an endorphin rush from it. Most of us dread that. So if you are one of those people, congratulations, like just going hardcore and, punishing your mind and body, that will work for you. For most people, especially with, certain additional mental health challenges, that ain't gonna work. There's three main things that will make change effective or make change just scary to the point of shutdown and you'll revert to those old habits. One is environment. The second is your support network. And the third is what I call scope management, because I'm a producer and a game designer, and scope management it's an essential skill for both life and work in game dev. And that's the one that people who want to go extreme, that's the thing you risk when you go extreme like that, the scope management. Most people, if something seems too big, they will lock up. Choice paralysis is real. If people have to make too many decisions, they eventually get fatigued and just stop deciding. This is a real thing. I am a very decisive person. Even I get to the point where I just don't want to make another decision. Now, for me, I know the big thing is negativity. That's something I realized I have to reduce in my life. The amount of negative feedback and negative stimulus I get on a daily, weekly, monthly, and yearly basis. That does not mean no criticism, no negative stimulus. It's the internet. Everybody freaks out and goes, you have to learn how to handle criticism. I do not believe that the amount of negativity I receive is productive. It's not making me better. It's just making me more tired. And this is where environment comes in, right? Like, obviously, the simplest, if not easiest thing to do would be to just get off social media. Now, does this make sense for me to do? And this is where you really have to practice those boundaries and practice that sense of self and give yourself some worth as a self-actualized person. For a great many people, social media is a blessing and a curse. They have a lot of really good, supportive friends through social media. You're also exposed to a lot of assholes. There are in-between things you can do on social media to maintain those relationships with the good people while reducing the amount of assholery that goes on. In a job like mine, you do have to be reasonable and expect a certain amount of assholery. No problem. I just don't want any unnecessary assholery, right? There's portion control with that. And that means not being on social media as much, but also using social media in a different way. One of the things that was drilled into me in PTSD therapy, and this is more of a real life social circle thing than social media, but it's appropriate for social media as well. If you really want to change things, and it's fine if you don't. No one's forcing you to change anything. But if you really want to make lasting changes in your life, anyone who is not supportive of those changes, they have to go. And when counselors started telling me this, I thought this was horrible and mean and, impossible. And they were 100% right. There are some people you cannot eliminate from your life completely, but you can minimize them and sort of put them in mental and emotional boxes. Set reasonable expectations for your interactions with those people. Set goals, especially if it's family, of I'm going to have to see this person. I don't like this person. This person makes me feel bad. My goal for this is that instead of getting into a fight with them, I'm going to excuse myself and go to the bathroom or something like that. Set up potentials for little wins with people like that. If you can't completely cut them out, it does wonders for your peace of mind. Other people, you can cut out. You can just get rid of, or you can put them so at arm's length that it's sort of a hi-bye, don't get too close thing. Sometimes it's better than cutting somebody off completely because it's a lot less drama. Sometimes people are really, really pushy and don't take the hint. So unfortunately, and I know I try to make these videos neuroatypical friendly, how to get rid of people who are not helping you is a lot more art than science. Granted, people on the spectrum don't have often the same issues that, neurotypical people do with, being worn down by criticism. And that is a blanket statement. I recognize that as a reductive and not, it's not true in all cases. But I sort of envy some people I know who are on the spectrum and someone says something really shitty to them and they just go, that's inspiring to me. I try to emulate that. But obviously it's not true for there's also triggers. And if somebody does not respect your triggers, everybody makes mistakes. Everybody forgets sometimes. But if somebody does not respect your triggers, they are on the gotta go list. I don't know why some people don't respect these things, real triggers. But some people don't. Some people think they can toughen someone up by deliberately re-traumatizing them. Those people are assholes. They gotta go. No, really. They gotta go. Learn. I probably would have learn from my mistakes. I probably would have been through PTSD therapy in half the time had I just done that sooner. Just goodbye, shitty people. Goodbye. Sometimes there were a few people that I bye-byed, and then then, because the status quo changed, because the dynamics and boundaries of the relationship changed, then I could start letting a select few back in, and that's worked out okay. Awesome. But the firm bye-bye was extremely important. And it is frigging terrifying at first because, we live in a world now where it's not just human beings or social creatures. We live in a world where your reputation and your social clout is survival with this, cancel culture, jobs scouring your social media. Simply an accusation is all it takes. No investigation. Just, somebody accused you of something. You're bad now. Welcome to my life cyclically. Those can actually be of benefit, even though long term, even though they're unpleasant changes that you didn't initiate. If you are among a group of people who doesn't give you reasonable benefit of the doubt, the problem is not you. The problem is that group. And it may seem like they are super dominant and all powerful in the circles you travel in, but I don't know of any hobby or industry, or except for perhaps Canadian television and opera. Those are such small pawns that, if you offend a few well-placed people, you're kind of fucked. But you can move on to another type of arts, right? There are still ways you can move on from those people and they don't have as much power over you. And you'll notice that the social group and the environment in this day and age are practically synonymous. Some things, personally, I find I write first drafts or I'm more creative when I'm not sitting at my desktop. Sometimes I have to move around to get over a case of writer's block or something like that. Sometimes a change in physical scenery can help you make change internally. Try it. If you find it uncomfortable, don't force yourself. But usually I find environments with this stuff is it's the people surrounding you. And that's why I separate environment, including social environment, from your support network. Now, support networks have to be two things: relatively small and truly supportive. Why do I say relatively small? Well, you will only meet a handful of really true friends in your lifetime. Just people who actually have integrity are extremely rare in this world. So it is better to have a cheering section of only 2 or 3 people than try to amass this group of dozens, because I guarantee you the bulk of those dozens will not have your best interests at heart. The other thing is, if you have too many people involved in something, you get that choice paralysis again. You get too much feedback. A lot of it will conflict. You're on unstable ground. There's an unease. There's an anxiety. You're going to have trouble figuring out which feedback to listen to. So I recommend a few trusted people. And that's one of the things I want to do the Leanna Care Zoom call service for people who don't have that support system. If they just want to talk to somebody periodically and strategize, well, hey, you don't need a psychotherapist for that, right? You just need somebody who listens and, is in your corner and will tell you things honestly and has a certain amount of wisdom to appropriately advise you. Now, sometimes your support network is going to be wrong. That's okay. There's a big difference between an honest mistake and somebody who does not have your best interests at heart. Support networks are not necessarily, they're not editors. They're not, personal trainers. Those are experts in particular skills. Those are important. But you also need people who will just basically be your cheerleader and keep you accountable. And what you do is you let somebody you trust say you want to make these changes, and you basically, everybody's different. You'll read online articles that are very every week, and yes, some people need that routine. Other people need more of 4 a.m. Facebook Messenger kind of thing. Be very careful with that. Let people sleep. But, people have different working styles. People have different things that make them comfortable. I know people that when you try to get them on a weekly check-in schedule, it gives them a huge amount of anxiety and they just sort of disappear. If something is making it harder for you to make the changes you want to make, it's just not working. And that's not something wrong with you. That's what makes you unique. That's good. One of the big things about making changes is figuring out what works for you and not trying to be like everyone else. As I talked about in yesterday's video, our social norms are so oppressive now that I really believe it's keeping a lot of people stuck. So that's what the support network is. Yes, this is extremely vague. In order to get an effective buddy system, there has to be someone you can have an authentic conversation with. And I may have to do a video on authentic conversations because, oh my God, these things are a lost art. So I will table that for now, but look for that in the coming months. I'm going to make a note of that. Authentic conversations. But you need someone who is able to tell you when they think you need to course correct without like demolishing you and making you feel like crap. Now, you know better than anybody else how good you are at handling criticism. We've talked before about people who are very not good at handling criticism or not good at handling certain types of criticism. This is not necessarily a character flaw. This can be a symptom of trauma. So you need to find somebody whose feedback style matches what you need. Now, does that mean some things won't sting sometimes? No. Sometimes honest feedback is ouchy. There's a difference between something stinging, but you can brush it off in a couple hours, and something that actually pokes a hole in your soul. If all you've known is stuff that pokes a hole in your soul, I know it's hard to believe that things, exist out there that hurt or are frustrating, or, feel kind of like rejection, but are actually good for you. One of the most difficult things for anybody in the arts to handle, to learn to process well, is what some people call notes. I prefer them to be corrections, because when people say I have notes, to me, this is a certain mindset, and it's a euphemism. They are corrections. And some people are very good at giving corrections. Some people are very awkward about it, and so things come out more kind of blunt and harsh than they need to be. Sometimes, however, in especially the entertainment industry, stuff happens and there's really no way that it's not going to sting, because it's just a rejection, a game flopping, it's shipping buggy through no fault of your own, abusive supervisors, abusive directors, abusive producers, there are a lot bad reviews. You can make the greatest thing in the world and bad reviews will still sting sometimes, because you read certain ones and it's like, wow, this person just hates me. This isn't about what I actually made. This feels like this person just hates me. Over time, you develop ways of finding it funny and making it into fuel. because you recognize that you don't really accomplish anything without the right people hating you. Um, I know of what I speak here. Um, this is a gut thing too. You have to own your choices. So that's why you have to have this support system, because having the right people hate you is very important to success. Sometimes figuring out who the right people to hate you are requires a gut check from a third party. Make sure that third party has guts. What that support system can do when somebody's really nasty. They take a really nasty swipe, or they start false rumors, or say something that's completely unfair. Sometimes all it takes is for you to hear what they said was unfair. Sometimes that's enough to go, all right, if it's not fair, I don't have to internalize it, right? Sometimes they can make you laugh about it. Sometimes they can point out that the person in question is throwing stones from a very, very delicate glass house, and so on and so forth. And the nice thing about having a solid, small support system is it's a retreat from things like online hate barrages, because those things happen, even in real life. Sometimes people are just cruel. And sometimes, the wheel of cruelty spins and it ends up landing on your tile, and it's just your time in the barrel, and it just sucks. That is not anything anyone can 100% control. I don't care how wise you are. I don't care how good you are with people. Some of it is just wrong day, wrong topic, wrong tweet or YouTube video or Facebook post or whatever. Practicing self-compassion and not blaming yourself when the internet goes kablooey is a learned skill. And that segues somewhat into scope management, the final part of this. I am great at project scope management. I am terrible about spoon management. I don't know if people know this. I don't have spoons. You only have so many spoons. Your energy units for the day. And once those are out, they're out. I am really bad at overworking myself. And I know that's something I have to start watching. Because I want to do these cool, exciting new projects, I have to stop trying to work 6.5 days a week. It's not healthy. It's not good for creativity. You need slow brain periods. And I recognize one of the changes I have to make is that I just have to be a little less available. I have to take that downtime. I have to take the pauses. They're not laziness. They're essential. They are part of scheduling. They are part of scope management. Because, all the industries I've worked in have involved hustle. And because they're all things where you have to make a thing before anyone will give you money to make a thing, self-crunching is a very real problem, especially when you see all these other people who constantly seem to be like, go, go, go. I swear some people's bodies just manufacture their own caffeine. But I also think sometimes those go, go, go people, it's a bit of an illusion. They're looking busy instead of being really busy. Because that downtime to center and just be you is really, really important when you are going through changes, big or small. You need that balance because other things are not going to feel habitual. Again, we go back to this obsession with normalcy. I don't like it. I think normal is bullshit. Um, Habitual is a different thing. We all have habits. We all have heuristics. We all have shorthands. It's just managing our cognitive load on a day-to-day basis. We can't think deeply and thoughtfully about everything we do. From, how am I going to make my coffee, to what am I going to have for breakfast, to how am I going to get from point A to point B. We have habits, and they're there for a reason. And some of them are good. Some of them are therapeutic. Some of them are meditative. Others might be getting in your way. Make small changes gradually. I use the metaphor with somebody who was procrastinating because of anxiety, emptying a bunch of boxes from a move in their basement. And I said, your goal isn't clean up the basement. It's one box. It's one box at a time. Because you can do one box a week and eventually it'll get done, right? It may get done slow, but it will get done. If you start conceptualizing of, this whole basement of like 50 boxes, that's so much, you don't even start. You have to practice this one bite at a time, one box at a time mindfulness to get anything large done. It's the only way I got through boss fight, because especially when there were like 6 characters on the screen and managing all these different character voices and wardrobe and continuity and all that stuff, it was overwhelming. And you gotta, one foot in front of the other. I don't even remember that's from that song, but you gotta do that, because otherwise the sheer amount of work ahead of you won't start. It's just too big. And, whenever I have to do a narrative design job that involves, the flow chart of doom, you have to start with, the one box, and then your first branching choice, and your first branching choice, and then your first branching choice. And it's one box at a time. You can't go, I'm going to produce this massive, 30 choice monstrosity. It's just going to pop out of my brain and land on the page. And hey, if us abstract thinkers could do that, oh shit, would we? Because it's just like, yay, purple clouds on the page. There, good. It's exactly the way I imagined it in my brain. I think part of the reason I became a systemized thinker is processing abstractions. I don't know, maybe I was just born that way. I'm pretty sure that my systemized thinking is an abstract skill to make sure I don't drop steps and make sure I don't lose massive building blocks of communication along the way. Now, I know this results in me sounding like I'm talking in a lot of tangents to some people. They're not actually tangents. This is important information to explain my thinking. It may not be relevant to you, but somebody who thinks in a different way, they may pick up on this example as opposed to the one that worked for you. That's a learned skill based on listening to feedback and making changes to communicate with the widest amount of people possible. That was something I decided to do consciously, and that first step of deciding to make a conscious change, it is very empowering in the long run. It is extremely scary in the short term, because if you come from abusive backgrounds, making a choice means accountability. Accountability means blame. Blame means danger. You have to start making these choices. You have to start making these choices to change. So you just go, choice means accountability. Accountability means agency. Agency means empowerment. Empowerment means a happier life. You have to retrain your brain to think of it in that way instead of the abuse training that, you know, you come from a family of origin where the one person that admits that they made a single mistake, everything just gets piled on them. You're nodding. Yeah, those are the people that off the top are creating shitty social environments. They need to go mentally and emotionally, if not actually getting physical space. I recommend physical space. It's friggin' great. The quiet. I'll leave you with this. The first time somebody told me what I was about to say, I thought it was mamby-pamby new agey bullshit. But it's actually real. What they told me is you're never going to meet good people who will help you achieve your goals if you're surrounded by losers. Okay, it doesn't sound new agey when I say it that way. But if you're surrounded by people who are bad for you, people who are good for you will likely assume that you're okay with the abusive treatment and might be abusive yourself, and stable, well-rounded, growing people do not want to be in abusive environments. If they're like me, the first sign of it is like, nope. Been there, done that, done. Next. You got to remove yourself from those people that are driving the good people away from you. And it can be really, really hard to see just how bad the people around you are. Indie games. Until you're out of it and you can breathe and you can get a bit of proverbial sunshine on your face. It's scary because being alone is scary. The entire reason people keep you trapped in abusive cycles is because being alone is scary. But try it a few times and, reach out. You've got a community here. If you're watching this video, the comment section alone in this video is pretty amazing for, reaching back when someone reaches out. So, when I get Twitch going back again, that's another place to come to find support. You're not alone. Once I get Leanna Cares going, you can book appointments. But that's the whole point of this, is giving people the soul food environment and giving people the support networks and the scope management to make positive changes that will stick. Really interested in your comments on this. Have I got it? Yes. Help support this channel. Become a monthly patron. Patreon.com/LeannaK. Thanks for watching.